In the morning by my side sat the darling of my pride, and our happy children round us were at play. When the news spread through the land that the Fenians were at hand, at our country's call we'll cheerfully obey. Tramp, 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 the boys are marching. Cheer up, comrades, let them come. For beneath the Union Jack we will drive the Fenians back, and we'll fight for our beloved Canadian home. Should this poor deluded band dare set foot upon our land, or molest the rights of England's noble queen, they will meet with British pluck, English, Irish, Scotch, Canuck, and they'll wish themselves at home again, I ween. Tramp, 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 the boys are marching. Cheer up, comrades, let them come. For beneath the Union Jack we will drive the Fenians back, and we'll fight for our beloved Canadian home.
Come all you bold Canadians, I'd have you lend an ear concerning a fine ditty that would make your courage cheer, concerning an engagement that we had at Sandwich Town, the courage of those Yankee boys so lately we pulled down. There was a bold commander, General Brock by name, took shipping at Niagara and down to York he came. He said, my gallant heroes, if forward you would steer, we'd fight against those Yankees with either dread or fear. We travelled all that night and a part of the next day with a determination to show them British play. We travelled all that night and a part of the next day with a determination to conquer or to die. Our commander sent a flag to them, and unto them did say, Deliver up your garrison, or we'll fire on you this day. But they would not surrender, and chose to stand their ground. We opened up our great guns, and gave them fire around. Their commander sent a flag to us, for quarter he did call. Oh, hold your guns, British boys, for fear you slay us all. Our town you have at your command, our garrison likewise. They brought their guns and grounded them right down before our eyes. And now we are all home again, each man is safe and sound. May the memory of this conquest all through the province sound. Success unto our volunteers who did their rights maintain, and to our bold commander, General Brock by name.
The sun was setting in the west. The birds were singing on every tree. All nature seemed inclined for a rest, but still there was no rest for me. Farewell to Nova Scotia, the sea-bound coast. Let your mountains dark and drear I be. For when I am far away on the briny ocean tossed, will you ever heave a sigh or a wish for me? I grieve to leave my native land, I grieve to leave my comrades all, and my aged parents whom I always held so dear, and my bonny, bonny lassie that I do adore. Farewell to Nova Scotia, the sea-bound coast. Let your mountains dark and drear I be. For when I am far away on the briny ocean tossed, will you ever heave a sigh or a wish for me? The drums do beat and the wars do alarm. My captain calls, we must obey. So farewell, fare thee well to your Nova Scotia's charms, for it's early in the morning, I'll be far, far away. Farewell to Nova Scotia, the sea-bound coast. Let your mountains dark and drear I be. For when I am far away on the briny ocean tossed, will you ever heave a sigh or a wish for me? I have 3 brothers, and they are at rest. Their arms are folded on their breasts. But a poor and simple sailor just like me must be tossed and driven on the dark blue sea. Farewell to Nova Scotia, the sea-bound coast. Let your mountains dark and drear I be. For when I am far away on the briny ocean tossed, will you ever heave a sigh or a wish for me? Farewell to Nova Scotia, the sea-bound coast. Let your mountains dark and drear I be. For when I am far away on the briny ocean tossed, will you ever heave a sigh or a wish for me?
If you enjoy the pain of others, listen to my story about the day Tim Hortons ran out of coffee. A day that ends in sorrow and lots of suffering. I've told you how it ends, here's how it begins. Dan Doofus was promoted, perhaps a bit too soon, and put in charge of ordering all things that were consumed. He kept up on the donuts and the bagels and the soup, but forgot the coffee, which is quite an oops. Oh, 'twas the morning Tim Hortons had no coffee. Oh, 'twas the morning that had no caffeine. Oh, 'twas the morning the world began to end. For people without coffee can be very mean. Mary MacMumu was standing in the line. When she went to the counter, what horror did she find? She asked for a coffee, and when told there was no more, she yelled out, "What the hell do you think I came here for? They're out of goddamn coffee!" She then shouted out, and people all around panicked and ran about. While out in the drive-thru, the cars were piling up in a fruitless rush to get the last cup. Oh, 'twas the morning Tim Hortons had no coffee. Oh, 'twas the morning that had no caffeine. Oh, 'twas the morning the world began to end. For people without coffee can be very mean. The mob jumped o'er the counter to see what could be found. Some licked the floor, others chewed on ground. They tore the place apart because of their affliction. 'Cause there's no devil worse than a caffeine addiction. With heads that fiercely throbbed and with hands that twitched, the grumpy mob filled the streets trying to find a fix. But I'm sad to say, when no coffee could be found, they ripped the whole darn town right down to the ground. Oh, 'twas the morning Tim Hortons had no coffee. Oh, 'twas the morning that had no caffeine. Oh, 'twas the morning the world began to end. For people without coffee can be very mean. Oh, 'twas the morning Tim Hortons had no coffee. Oh, 'twas the morning that had no caffeine. Oh, 'twas the morning the world began to end. For people without coffee can be very mean. wide, the road is long, the railway is nearby. The nature is so natural it pokes you in the eye, and the little people struggle hard just to scrape on by. In the great Canadian folk song, and I feel so small because the country is so vast. And now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the past. Did you know in 1995 they passed the Agriculture and Agri-Food Administrative Monetary Penalties Act? Now you do, cause it's in the great Canadian folk song. And the fishing coming back, and the training coming back, and the farming coming back, and I have a hairy back. And lots of people died in lots of different ways, crushed by rocks, killed in wars, drowned or set ablaze. It's really quite a bummer, but what makes me cry for days is they'll never know they made it into the great Canadian folk song. And every beginning finally becomes an end. A cat becomes a dog, and a curve becomes a bend. And sometimes a word is used just because it rhymes again. That's how you write the great Canadian folk song. And the house ain't coming back, and the mine ain't coming back, and Grandpa ain't coming back, 'cause nothing ever comes back in the great Canadian folk song. And when you think the song is done, it has another verse, which is played more sparsely than the second or the first. It makes things quite dramatic. Yes, I really think it works. To help drag out the great Canadian folk song, I'm available at any time to play any gig, a house concert, a parking lot, or in a barn with pigs. Give me money, I need to eat, I never made it big. Even though I wrote the great Canadian folk song.
Magi, dikta sa Coureur, mettez-moi ça, je vous la donnerai des guerres.
Merci beaucoup.